So I am very disappointed in what I'm being told, but we will look to get to the bottom of it. Right, let us now move on to the 10-minute rule bill. Nick Fletcher.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I beg to move that leave be given to bring in a bill to require local authorities to publish a register of derelict buildings in their area, to make provision in respect of the preparation and maintenance of such registers and for connected purposes. My hometown, now my home city, is a place I am very proud of. Doncaster has many wonderful assets and the people are the best in the land. However, although 95+% is great, some parts are not so. The bill will make a real difference to that. We know that derelict buildings are a problem. They blight our cities, our towns and our villages. This place has provided local authorities with powers to tackle derelict buildings. Sadly though, these powers are not being used as we intended. This bill will provide an incentive to local authorities to do their duty and exercise their powers for the community as Parliament intended. This bill will start to address their dereliction of duty also. We don't even know exactly how many derelict sites there are or precisely where they are. How can we as a society tackle the problem of derelict buildings until we truly know the scale of the problem? As I come home on the train to Doncaster from Parliament on a Thursday evening, the first listed building I see is Denison House by the railway station. Windows smashed, weeds growing out of the guttering, general neglect, derelict. I walk through the station and see the Grand Theatre, another listed building, derelict again. I walk through town, past Waterdale, derelict. I pass by the new expensive, shiny but half-empty council building. On South Parade I see another Denison House, also listed, also derelict. This is the former home of Sir Edmund Beckett Denison, the man who in 1848 brought the railways to Doncaster. This building of his, now an eyesore, derelict again. As I drive to the towns and villages across my constituency, I drive by Tyrham Hall, derelict. I keep on driving into Thorn to view the works to reopen the leisure centre. I drive by Haynes House, derelict. Thorn Brewery, derelict. I have a Secretary of State visit Doncaster. I take him to Edlington's Leisure Centre, derelict. Prince's Crescent, many properties there, also derelict. The list goes on and on. Why is this so? No register, no personal responsibility, no example set by Labour-controlled Doncaster Council. Powers they hold are not being exercised. Labour's care for our city as seemingly derelict as the properties I have described.
Very good.
We cannot let this state of affairs continue. If we do, then all we shall see is further deterioration, more derelict buildings. It drags us down to their level, levelling down, not levelling up.
Absolutely.
My bill will ensure that all derelict buildings are identified. It answers 3 questions. Firstly, what is the definition of a derelict building? Secondly, who will create and maintain the list? And thirdly, how will it be accessible to the public? Albert Einstein is reputed to have said this about solving problems. If I had an hour to solve a problem, I'd spend 55 minutes thinking about the problem and 5 minutes thinking about the solution. I have given this considerable thought, and it seems to me the first step must be to have a register of derelict buildings. The obvious body well placed with this exercise will be the local authorities, who already have the necessary infrastructure and resources. They have a list of all the empty buildings already. They maintain records for council tax and business rates for properties including those that are exempt. They will accordingly have a list of all buildings and structures within their area of jurisdiction within their boundaries. It is important to note that their departments for planning and building control, as well as council tax and business rates, will have records that can be cross-referenced. Not only are they an obvious candidate, but they are the ones best placed. There is no need to set up a quango, no need to spend enormous sums of taxpayers' money, and as we have seen already, they have the infrastructure and the records. It is merely a question of identifying which of the empty buildings are derelict. They all have websites with information accessible by the public. The small steps required of them by this bill will not incur substantial additional expenditure. Ongoing maintenance of the records will not require much time, effort or expense either. My bill will be the first step on this journey to addressing the blight of derelict buildings from our communities. The first step to the solution, by passing a law requiring all local authorities to identify derelict buildings in their area, we can start to make progress. So let me start with the definitions. A derelict site is defined in my bill as a site that has structure or structures upon the land which are ruinous, derelict or in dangerous condition. The next step is to identify the derelict buildings and properties. Council officers will firstly check their existing records for empty properties. Most, if not all, properties will be easily identified by their status regarding payment of council tax or business rates. A provisional list can be easily created, which then should be published. Additionally, all local authorities have district councillors. They should know their wards intimately. Conservative councillors do. That I do know. It seems to me that each councillor could easily provide the council with the details and addresses of buildings they believe are an eyesore in their locality, and they should be put on a provisional list. I would not expect there to be too many who are not on that list. Those properties will then be visited by council officers to establish the condition. The properties on the provisional list will then be classified as derelict, and they are only given 28 days notice of the intention to give that classification of the property. Any owner would have the right to object, providing reasons in writing. These objections could then be reviewed. The local authority could then either withdraw the classification or confirm it. So why is such a list of any value to us at all? The advantages are numerous. It enables us to firstly know the scale of the problem. It provides an incentive to all areas to see the list reduce rather than increase. Should the buildings be left as they are, improved or demolished? These are questions that will arise, and the right answers may be different across the board. Should improvement works be exempt from VAT? Should there be compulsory purchase orders made? Should owners be required to carry out improvements or demolition? Should they be persuaded to address this by carrot or stick, or indeed both? Lots of questions such as these arise. This bill does not attempt to answer those questions. It does, however, enable us for the first time to understand the scale of the problem which faces every part of this wonderful country. I want to ensure that our cities, towns and villages are not blighted. Derelict buildings are a blight. There is no doubt on that. Let us identify the scale of the problem. Let us learn from the wisdom of Albert Einstein. Let us think about the problem. This bill will enable us to do exactly that. Then and only then shall we find the solution and return all our towns and cities to their former glory. Thank you.
The honourable member have leave to bring in the bill. The question is that the honourable member have leave to bring in the bill. As many of that opinion say aye. Aye. The contrary, no. I think the ayes have it. The ayes have it. Who will prepare to bring in the bill?
Dr. Liam Fox, Anthony Higginbottom, Mark Eastwood, Damien Moore, Paul Bristow, Brendan Clark-Smith, Mark Jenkinson, Danny Kruger, Leah Nietzsche, Alexander Stafford and Miriam Cates and myself.
Nick Fletcher.
Register of Derelict Buildings Bill.
Second reading what day?
24th of November.
24th of November. Well done. Congratulations. The clerk will now proceed to read the orders of the day.
Economic Crime and Corporate Transparency Bill